Hey there, Pastor Tabitha Purple. I'm querying something. So, as many of you know, I'm an activist. I believe very much in fighting for the human rights of others. My specialist areas to have some knowledge about is areas of race, gender, and disability, because all of those coincide within my own life, family, and the areas that I studied in and know most about. And so those are things that I feel very passionate about and that I fight with. And so I wanted to start a podcast because I think it's really important to have these conversations, especially within a religious culture, to have education surrounding how we can be more inclusive, how we can help others to come to faith in a more peaceful manner without some of the exclusionary behavior that we have in Christianity at the moment. And Christians are notoriously bad in the 21st century at being inclusive. We tend to retreat to our cultural norms and then say that that is what is in the Bible, when actually it's not. And so it's a real challenge to deal with this issue. And I really wanted to make a podcast. And so the podcast, I suddenly had this brainwave that the title I liked for my podcast was I Don't Look Like My Mama. Because my mother and I, well, I have very similar features. Of course, I am her daughter, so I have a similar face to her, are completely different colours. She is beautiful brown and I am very boring pale, but she's beautiful brown colour, you know, and I don't look like my sisters or my dad or anyone in my family really. There are cousins who have a similar problem to me. The first cousin of every generation has a colour disparity with its siblings, but, you know, then there's me. Took it to the nth degree, huh? And so it's always been a source of laughter, a source of encouragement, a source of craziness, a source of anger, a source of inspiration really to push harder and to understand more and to reflect more about identity, culture, race, and those areas because of the fact that I don't look like my mama. So people literally would ask her, you know, is that your child? Are you sure you're allowed to have her? Is that are you the nanny? Are you the babysitter? Are you sure you're allowed to be with her? Should we call somebody to check? You know, or they try to speak to me. Who is this lady? Do you know her? And then when we got older, of course, people who lived near us would do things like saying, oh, you know, maybe the father's not the father. Who's the father really? You know, why does she look like that? And then, of course, comes the classic lines that all communities will know. She must be a throwback, throwback. Like there were white people way back way, and that's why she looks the way she looks. And there was always a justification, a reason for why I look so different. And so the phrase, I don't look like my mama, really suited me. But my husband said, why would you call it that? Why would you call your podcast that? When you look just like your mama. In fact, your hairstyle is pretty much like how she used to wear her hairstyle when she was a little bit younger than you. So, and I forgot that, which made me a little... For any one woman who's having issues not wanting to be exactly who their mother is, that was a hard moment for me. Different story, different time. But he said, but you do look like your mama. So isn't it more funny to call it I look like my mama? Because you do look like your mama. There's just one glaringly obvious difference. The colour of your skin. That's all it is. You are who you are, and the only difference is that the colour of your skin is different, but you look just like your mama. It's like, really? I look just like my mama? So we had this little discussion about whether it should be called I Don't Look Like My Mama or I Look Like My Mama. And then maybe, just maybe, both of those titles are pants and I should find something else to call it, but I haven't found anything I liked. So I guess I'm just letting you know that this is my reflection this evening, that I'm looking at my podcast, which I'm investigating how to do. I'm working on. I've got the microphone. So I just don't know how to connect it to this little device because I think this is not going to work, which is my phone. So, because, you know, these new phones don't have a headphone jack. How are you supposed to listen to stuff? Everything has to be Bluetooth. It's a bit difficult, isn't it? So that would require spending money, but at a world crisis, of course, money is a scarce commodity, so we don't have that. So we don't have that normally either, but whatever. Let's let that point go. The point is, we're trying to think, what can this podcast be called? Should it be called I Don't Look Like My Mama? Because that is actually my life. Or should it be called I Look Like My Mama? Because that's quite ironic and funny, and you know, there's a glaring obvious difference between me and my mum, and so that would highlight that a little more. Because actually the point of the podcast is to discuss race, gender, disability, diversity and inclusion, with a view as it pertains to religious institutions and organisations, churches, schools, etc. How do they cope with religious diversity, with race, gender and disability inclusion? Mouthful, and it's late. So yes, that's my current reflection on what I'm trying to name this podcast. But first, I guess I have to get the recording right, and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay. Well, anyway, I thought I'd just share that with you, what we're working on. All right, bye.